After clashes took place on Ram Navami, the situation in Howrah continues to remain tense. Even as fresh police deployment was put in place, stone pelting was reported as the police tried to control the situation. This a day after several vehicles, including some belonging to the police, were torched in the area. Times Now spoke to some of the eyewitnesses to establish exactly what happened. Take a look at what those people who were present on the spot had to say.
हम लोग बैठे हुए, नमाज जैसी खत्म हो लोग और पत्थर मारने लगा। तब सर यहाँ से भी पत्थराव का जवाब में पत्थराव हो ही हुआ है।
हम लोग रामनवमी से आ रहे थे, रामनवमी निकलने ही वाला था। बीच में जब जैसे हम लोग बीच में आए तो टिराम डुबू का साइड में एक रामनवमी चल गया। आलों का पूरा मुस्लिम बस्ती का बीच में रामनवमी जो था, उधर पे मुस्लिम बस्ती में छत से ईटा मारा गया।
Well, right now you see we are standing in front of a police vehicle which has been burnt. The locals were protesting, demanding the arrest, though the police claim that the accused has been taken into custody and would be produced in court. But the locals hit out. They started with a protest, that was a rail protest. Then this is a Tiljala bridge that we call, and we see that when the police had come, stones were pelted. A police car is burning right in front of us over here. The police or the fire brigade are not being allowed to come to douse the flames. On the other hand, we will see across the bridge, we will go across the bridge, there is a massive deployment of police force. Police has tried to disperse the mob with tear gas shells. We know that yesterday a 7-year-old girl, she had been brutally murdered. The family alleged that she might have been raped. The post-mortem is yet to come. There is high drama unfolding over here on the day when the President of India has her maiden visit in Kolkata.
All right, such was the rage of the mob, in fact, that even the media was not spared. 2 times network journalists came under attack for doing their duty. First, it was Kundan Singh, who was injured in stone pelting by the mob. Then Tamal Saha was also accosted during a live report. Even as the police try and bring the situation under control, the political blame game has begun.
You know, as you hear, the miking has now started. People are being asked not to make any kind of a video from the balcony, from windows, and in a way spread on social media to instigate people and create tension once again. At this point in time, when the forces are trying to make a progress, there is resistance which is on the other side, and in a way the crowd has now built up. The crowd has now come out from all sides, and they are also trying to question the police. Police are trying to make sure that there is tension, there is no tension, and the situation can be calmed down. Things are turning ugly out here. We have just been assaulted. I have been assaulted right now. There are other media people who have been here out, so their anger is essentially on media, it seems like. Even when we are trying to negotiate with them and tell them that we are here to talk to them, law would take its time possibly to get a hold over here, because as I've been saying, we're dealing with a situation which is very, very charged up. There is anger out here. Hey, Dada. Ek second.
Now, remember yesterday the West Bengal Chief Minister had accused those who were a part of the rally procession of taking out an unauthorized march, and even today the Trinamool Congress said that those who were a part of the Ram Navami procession were brandishing swords and playing loud music. She also said that this was perhaps an effort to try and target a particular community. But today, not only did the BJP promptly refute all of these charges, but in fact, the state chief even wrote to the Home Minister seeking an NIA probe into what had happened, saying that all of it was pre-planned and instigated.
এই প্রথা তো আমরা কোনোদিন বাংলায় লক্ষ্য করিনি। মমতা বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায় তো 2011 সালে বাংলার মুখ্যমন্ত্রী হয়েছে। 2011 সালে তো এই বিশৃঙ্খলতা, এই গুন্ডামি, মস্তানি, রাহাজানির পরিবেশ তৈরি হয়নি। 16 3টে বিধানসভায় জেতা, আসন পাওয়ার পর 3টে বিধায়ক জেতার পর এরা পুরো রাজ্যটাকে নিজেদের পৈতৃক সম্পত্তি ভাবা শুরু করে দিল।
হাওড়ায় এই সমস্যা হলো কেন? ডালখোলাতে বা এই সমস্যা তৈরি করা হলো কেন? এটা তৃণমূল কংগ্রেসের কমপ্লিটলি চক্রান্ত। সাগরদিঘির নির্বাচনে পরাজিত হওয়ার পরে তৃণমূল কংগ্রেসের সভানেত্রী মমতা ব্যানার্জি তিনি আতঙ্কিত ছিলেন যে আমার হাত থেকে সংখ্যালঘু ভোট বেরিয়ে যাচ্ছে। এই ঘটনার জন্য দায়ী মমতা ব্যানার্জি এবং তার দল।
Yesterday's incident was pre-planned, whatever we have come to know. Administration is looking into the matter, but unfortunately, the whole matter was instigated, pre-planned, and done by none other than BJP and their followers and some groups of RSS affiliated groups. They have perpetuated all this violence and they have tried to make dangas, communal disruptions. It is very sad.
अगर उनको पता था ऐसा होगा तो क्यों नहीं रुके? उनको रुकना चाहिए था। हम लोगों को किसी को पता नहीं है, उनको पता है और वो होम मिनिस्टर भी है। अगर ऐसा है तो उनको, अगर उन्होंने खुद मुख्यमंत्री भी है, गृह मंत्री भी है, उसको तो अभी रिजाइन देना चाहिए। हम लोग को जांच होना चाहिए, NIA जांच होना चाहिए। ये पूरा विषय में जो हम लोग देखा कि पुलिस एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ने हिंदुओं को ज्यादा अरेस्ट किया, मुस्लिम लोग अरेस्ट नहीं होता है, और ये क्यों होगा? जिसके ऊपर अटैक होता है उसको अरेस्ट कर रहे हैं।
All right, joining us now is Sourav Sikdar, spokesperson of the BJP, Nirmal Kaur, former IPS officer in Jharkhand, and Shikha Mukherjee, senior journalist. I want to start with you, Ms. Mukherjee. Do you think there should be an NIA investigation? Because there are claims that not only was a procession attacked, but people's homes were then vandalized. Ms. Mukherjee.
Well, then, I think that if an NIA is going to be, an NIA investigation is going to happen, it should happen in Delhi and Vadodara as well, because there have been really serious clashes even there. And I think I am alarmed by many things. One of the things that I am alarmed about is the fact that in Delhi, the people who were asked not to take out that procession by the police, they were given a limited permission to take out the procession. They actually said that the police are under them. What kind of...
Ma'am, just as an aside, are you suggesting, let's assume for a moment that there was no permission. Let's assume for a moment there was no permission. Does that give you reason or anyone reason to attack people with stones and then set fire to public property? Is that reason?
You see, there are two issues here. One is violence. One is the law being violated.
Let's talk about the violence, ma'am. Because if the law is being violated, hold on a second, madam. Because if the law is being broken, there are no two ways. In our constitution and in our IPC, it is very clear people will be arrested, and people have been arrested.
Now, my dear girl, I don't think I'm disagreeing with you. I'm saying that violence is violence,
yes,
and has to be dealt with as it should be. But no one should be under the impression that those who are taking out processions, they should not believe that the police are under them in any part of the country. Forget about West Bengal. Just as in West Bengal, there should be no one who believes that the police are under them and they need to be protected.
Absolutely, you're right. The people who are in the procession have no right to think that they are above the law. Now I come to the point, ma'am, which was my original question.
Yes.
Why is the violence allowed to happen?
No, see, violence will happen.
Why?
Violence will happen if violence happens. There is no question of this. There is nothing that anyone can predict.
No, why will violence happen? That is antithetical to the rule of law. How can violence be allowed to happen?
Not possible to predict. Ask any police officer.
But that is exactly the reason why on certain days
that they can anticipate that there may be violence.
Ma'am, this didn't happen. This wasn't lack of anticipation.
But it is not possible to predict where exactly the violence will spark off.
Ms. Mukherjee, obviously violence was anticipated, so the police was present there, which is what my question is. How did violence happen in the presence of the police?
When violence starts, it is not, this is like an earthquake. Can you predict when the earthquake will start?
It is not like an earthquake, ma'am. An earthquake cannot be seen, but a mob with stones can be seen. A mob with stones gathering on a rooftop can be seen. A mob pelting stones can be seen.
For violence, but you cannot predict the exact moment or the place where the violence will take place.
Okay, hold on. So, ma'am, let me actually get in somebody who's a former IPS officer. She has seen plenty such situations. Nirmal Kaur, the argument being given by Ms. Mukherjee is that this couldn't be predicted. And now that this has happened, Mamata Banerjee is cracking down. People will be arrested.
No, it's easily predictable. I don't think there's any element of chance or uncertainty there, because the only way to deal with riots or prevention of riots is deployment of force. And proper deployment of force, after studying the demography of the area, the past incidents, the placement of religious places or religious shrines along the route, and also the permission, the past history, there are lots of things you can see, and you can accordingly deploy force. And also the intention of the force should be to not, force should be very impartial. Whatever force is deployed there, they have to impartially deal as servants of law to maintain the rule of law.
And also, if I may just add, this kind of logic then can be extended to any crime. One can say murders cannot be predicted, loot cannot be predicted, riots cannot be predicted. So then the entire country, Ms. Mukherjee, can just go up in flames, because anyone can argue we can't predict when a riot happens.
The logic of my argument, and that is unreasonable. What I am saying, and I totally disagree with our very senior panelist who is from the police, that yes, you can anticipate, but the exact moment and the exact location, I don't think anyone can predict with any accuracy.
If there is proper deployment of force, ma'am, if there is proper deployment of force,
if there is proper deployment of force, if there is proper deployment of force, you can act very speedily and contain the violence. You can act very speedily and take measures. But if
stones must have been gathered
moment, you cannot predict.
Okay, here are two things I have to say to this. One, that yesterday there are claims that petrol bombs were thrown. That cannot be a spur of the moment decision. That needs prior preparation. And it's the role of the state to anticipate that too. All right, yesterday was not anticipated. It could not be predicted. What about today? How did the violence start today, ma'am? At the very least, the police should have been on their toes today. But a second round of stone pelting and violence took place today. I was still supposed to say, oh, no one could have predicted this. But Sourav Sikdar, now a CID probe has been ordered. Are you satisfied with that? The state is moving in.
Not at all, not at all. Because Mamata Banerjee's police was never impartial in West Bengal. And I just want to explain a chronology that yesterday, Mamata Banerjee, who is the Home Minister of West Bengal as well, she stood in a dharna, and from there she declared that no Ram Navami Michil should be passed through by any Muslim area. I want to ask, is there any rule for a Muslim area separately in this country? When Muslim procession comes out, does it not pass through the Hindu areas? So what was the purpose of saying that this should not, that Muslim areas should be avoided? And just after that, this incident happened. Is it not a law and order?
Today they are saying that the VHP and Bajrang Dal came there, and there is a video which has been tweeted by TMC leaders which shows that there are people in the yatra. One of them seems to be carrying what looks like maybe a gun, maybe a plastic gun. I don't know, but there are people with saffron flags with a gun-like object in their hand.
Video has been tweeted by our state president Sukanta Mujumdar as well, where from that side also says that same things are coming. That is not the issue. My second question is, even after imposing 144, why today again that violence happened? Even media person was not spared. I strongly condemn the coward attack on the media person.
Yes.
Media person was just covering, and they are showing what is the fact. Now, what was the purpose of attacking media person there?
Ms. Mukherjee.
If I may come in, two things. One, you mentioned a purported gun. You mentioned the possibility that it may have been a toy. The fact is that the Times of India today in Calcutta has a photograph of people
we've shown that
brandishing
photograph.
Swords.
We've shown that photograph.
There is no reason to assume that there is anything purported or that it may have been a plastic toy. There were people in that procession brandishing swords. And that is a naked weapon, number one. Number two, if indeed the Mamata Banerjee government has failed, yes, it has to be criticized, it has to be condemned. The police has to be
ma'am, anyone who is carrying a weapon, a purported weapon or swords which are in violation of the law, although carrying shastra is a part of the procession, the Ram Navami procession, it is a part of the tradition. That being said, if somebody is carrying a weapon, they should be arrested. I again come back to the point, ma'am. Does that condone pelting stones at them?
Let me finish. And if you're talking about the fact that today also there was violence, that yesterday there had been violence and there was an anticipation of violence, let me ask what happened in Godhra in 2002. How come for 3 days there was a bloodbath? And then there was no anticipation, then there was no government, then there was no police force there? Are you saying to me...
Answer that, Sourav Sikdar. By the way, ma'am, let me actually remind you, it happened on the 28th of February. This has been, Ms. Mukherjee, I'm sure as such a senior journalist, you know better than the rest of us, that on the 28th of February, it was a month of February, the army was requisitioned on the first day itself by the then government. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The entire case has gone through the full gamut of all the different courts. That still doesn't excuse how violence happens today, ma'am.
You and I and everybody else on this panel and your audience all know what happened for 3 days.
No.
We all know.
No, we don't have to function with insinuations, because there is a actual Supreme Court verdict in that case, as opposed to what has happened today, which is a case of violence and stone pelting happening a full 12 hours after the first round of stone pelting has happened, ma'am.
Years it took for the Supreme Court to come up with something.
Ma'am, how do you justify today's stone pelting is my simple question to you as such a senior journalist.
I am objecting to the manner and tenor of your questions, A, and the kind of implied partisan bias that I see in your...
There is nothing implied. I am doing a statement of facts.
I just cannot understand.
Ma'am, here are the facts.
I just cannot understand.
Here are the facts. There is nothing implied. It is all there in black and white. I am stating facts.
Why this anticipation?
I am not implying or insinuating. I am showing pictures of arson yesterday and stone pelting today and asking you, how could stone pelting happen in the presence of rapid action force? I'm implying nothing. I'm asking point blank.
In the CAA protest, what anticipation was the police, Delhi police showing when there was violence?
It's very interesting that you raised the issue of Delhi police during CAA protest. I remember in the aftermath of Nupur Sharma's comments, there was a huge mob shouting, giving calls for beheading in the heart of Kolkata. Nothing was done. Traffic was stopped for a full 2 to 3 hours. Why did the police not crack down on them like they cracked down on Ram Navami procession?
There should have been a control. Yes, there should have been control. Yes, there should not have been a second day of violence. But what has happened in other parts of the country demonstrates to us that there is a way in which a police force seems to be totally unable to contain conditions which ought to have been contained within 24 hours.
Answer that, Sourav Sikdar. If you're seeking a NIA probe in West Bengal, seek one in Sambhaji Nagar and Vadodara also.
And also in Delhi. Why not in Delhi? What are you saying?
With all,
okay, Delhi also. Let it be done in Delhi.
This man says the police is under us.
Okay, let him answer, Sourav Sikdar.
With all due respect to Shikhadi is a very senior journalist. I just want to remind her this is not the first time it's happening in West Bengal. Even during the CA protest, a whole railway station was burned, train was burned, and till day nobody got punished because it happens in a minority area. So when a chief minister openly can say, I am, the support to a minority is, I am going to take the kick who are giving us meal. So how come you expect Shikhadi a independent and impartial inquiry? That police minister,
Independent
the
and
chief
impartial,
minister always
any
come
part
and
of the
support
police
with
force
this.
today is simply not possible, I believe, not in Delhi, not in Gujarat, not in West Bengal, and certainly not in the rest of the country. I just don't believe it, because I am seeing too many instances of where the police and the administration are behaving with partisan irresponsibility.
Okay, if you're saying that the administration is partisan, are you conceding that the West Bengal administration was partisan?
I'm not making any concessions, my dear. I am telling you. Who am I making a concession to? You.
No, you don't have to make any concession to me, ma'am.
Precisely. So why do you
So you don't have to make any concession, but it did seem like you stepped back initially from what you said. It's okay, you don't have to be so derisive towards me. It's okay if you made a concession or if you happened. I also object to the derision in your tone, ma'am. I am not here to take your derision.
I think
all I'm asking you very respectfully is if you're saying that there is a dereliction on the part of the state and the administration, are you saying there has been a dereliction?
That is applicable for all states wherever there has been an incident.
Okay, I'll leave it at that. If you're saying there has been a dereliction, if there is an investigation, there is one by an SIT, there should be one by a central agency as well for the truth to be out there. For the time being though, thank you very much, both ladies and Sourav Sikdar, for joining me, because this wasn't limited, as you rightly been pointed out, to West Bengal alone. There were violence and clashes witnessed amid tensions during Ram Navami procession in several other parts of the country as well. There was Maharashtra's Sambhajinagar and Mumbai yesterday, Gujarat's Vadodara and Bihar's Sasaram. Fresh violence has been reported in at least 2 of these places, leading to police deployment being scaled up in area where the tensions still prevail. In Sambhajinagar, where one person died following clashes between 2 groups on Wednesday night, a fresh incident of stone pelting was reported this morning. The situation remains tense and heavy deployment has been made in the area. A CCTV video of clashes during the Wednesday night has also surfaced, showing a mob with men wearing masks not only going on a rampage, but a group of vandals is also then seen trying to damage the CCTV cameras. The police has booked around 500 people for the violence, while around 8 have been arrested and a few more have been taken in for questioning.
जब बाहर आके देखे हमने तो ऐसा मालूम पड़ा कि कुछ बच्चे जो है तो 2-3 बच्चे आए थे इधर से कोई झंडा लेके, वो 2-3 बच्चे जो है तो वहाँ पर आने की वजह से कुछ यहाँ के बच्चे, उनके बच्चों में कुछ तो भी हुआ इंटेंशन, तो कुछ यहाँ के ग्रुप ने उनको छुड़ाए, करे, उनको समझाए, ये बच्चे इधर आ गए, वो बच्चे चले गए, बात खत्म हो चुकी थी। उसके बाद में 12-12:30 बजे के टाइम पे अचानक जो है तो आजाद चौक की जानिब से, इधर आजाद चौक है, इधर रोशन गेट है, आजाद चौक की जानिब से 15 से 20 टू व्हीलर्स के ऊपर तकरीबन डबल सीट और उनके हाथ में झंडे थे। बस वहां तक हमने देखे और उसके बाद में आने के बाद में हमने क्या करे कि ये मंदिर के सामने आजू बाजू यहाँ पे खड़े हो गए। हमारा ये मकसद था कि हम जो है तो बचपन से ये मंदिर को देखते आए हुए, मठ को देखते आए, उसको कुछ नहीं होना चाहिए।
हमें जानकारी मिली लगभग 1 बजे के समय कि काका यहाँ पर बहुत सारी पब्लिक आई है और पत्थरबाजी कर रही है, तो हमने उनसे फिर सीपी साहब से बात किया, क्योंकि हमारा यहाँ से जाने का कारण ये था कि दूसरे दिन सवेरे हमें जल्दी आना था। हम 12:30 सवा 12 बजे लगभग हम दोनों भी मंत्री और सर चिटी हम दोनों चले गए द्वार बंद करके। भगवान की कृपा ये है कि द्वार अच्छे मजबूत थे, बोलकर कुछ हुआ नहीं, लेकिन यहाँ पर जो भी हुआ है ये फ्री प्लान वाला ऐसे हमें लगता है। 1 घंटे में 2 घंटे में इतना सारा कार्यक्रम इतने साथ हो नहीं सकता।
We're going to keep a very close eye. Let's hope that better sense prevails. Now that an investigation has been ordered, at least there will be calm in the area. That's it then from me on this edition of the news. Much more coming up on the other side. I'll see you next at 10 on the News Hour Agenda.